All right, I started recording.
Yeah.
Well, hello everybody. It's your girl Tamla Devon with Help Me to Help, and I am here today with April Colbert, Miss April Colbert of Essentially Yours, and we are going to be talking about natural deodorant versus the traditional or normal deodorant that people usually purchase. And so we want to share some insight or some information with you that can help you to make a decision about your deodorant choices. So, yeah, and if you have any questions, there is actually a chat button there. You can type in your questions and I will ask, and we'll gladly answer them for you, okay? Or we'll get the information if we don't have it. But we just feel that it's time that we inform as many people as possible about deodorant and the dangerous uses of it and the FDA warnings about it. And again, I am here with April Colbert of Essentially Yours. Hey, April, how you doing today?
I am fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well as well. Thank you for asking. And so let's talk about your experience and as actually a pharmacy technician, which has helped you to come up with your natural products that you are now making and doing well with. So tell me a little bit about your background.
Some years ago, I went to school to be a pharmacy technician. I wanted to go into the medical field, but I was a little scared of like blood and needles. So I was like, okay, I'll be a great nurse, but I can't shoot you or I can't do blood, right?
Okay.
So I chose the field of pharmacy technician. And when I was working at the hospital as a pharmacy technician, I was an IV tech. So we did a lot of things like chemotherapy. We, filled the carts. I worked a lot on the psych unit. I was also the person that would come and register for the psych unit patients, to come in and be seen and things of that nature. But I also worked in the pharmacy.
Okay.
So I did that for some years, and then I went back, for accounting.
Okay. All right. So dual, or a lot of us have many occupy or with that skill sets, and so we need to make choices as to which ones we want to utilize in our professional careers. And so that's good that you have this background and this experience because it's brought you to where you are now in developing these products. You're able to do research and test the products and then get people involved or using the products as well. So that's awesome. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is the your natural deodorant products, even though we're going to touch on some of your other products, but it was very touching to me, or really heartfelt, that we do this discussion about natural deodorant. And the main reason is because of the prevalence of breast cancer. So many women are developing breast cancers and they don't even know why they're developing, and the connection that breast cancer has with the use of deodorant. And so if we could shed some light on that today, I want to give a little bit of statistics, and then we're going to talk about what made you start Essentially Yours, which is your company, okay? So actually the prevalence of breast cancer is that 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer. That's a lot of women. 1 out of 8 women will develop breast cancer. Not only that, it is estimated that in the United States alone that there will be over 276,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer. That's metastatic breast cancer. And estimated that there will be 48,000 new cases of non-invasive breast cancer. So those numbers are high, whether we realize it or not. Those numbers are high. And actually, it's showing that about 2,620 new cases of men with breast cancer in 2020. And it is estimated that 1 out of every 800 men will develop breast cancer, which again is still high. And so we want to talk about some of the chemical compounds that are found in the regular deodorant and the dangers of it. But first, I want to ask you, what made you start Essentially Yours?
Well, what really made me start Essentially Yours, my first product actually was deodorant, because I had stopped using the store brand deodorant. I was using Dove, and you think you get these name brand deodorants and you think you're going to be fine. And I started like developing like a rash up under my arm. So that made me start looking into, okay, what causes a rash up under your arm? And then that, as I start researching it, it started telling me everything that was in the deodorant that we use every day, the carcinogens, the aluminum, the parabens, things that are cancer causing. And then it was so funny that about 3 or 4 days later, the same thing happened to my oldest son, little Eric. So I was like, okay, you know what, Lord, we have to stop using this deodorant because we have been trained and conditioned that it's okay to wear deodorant. It's antiperspirant. It stops you from sweating, but we're not realizing that it's clogging up our lymphatic and our sweat glands. So once I stopped using the deodorant, I went to go make my own, look, and started researching and made my own. And then I found out that if you switch from regular deodorant to natural deodorant, you have to first detox.
Okay.
So even though I was breaking out, when I switched, I started breaking out even more. So that caused me to do more research. So it was a personal thing with me, and then and with my son, because I'm like, we don't even know what we're putting on our body. A lot of times we're concerned about what we put in our body, but we're not concerned about what we're putting on our body, not thinking that 50 to 80% of what you put on your body is absorbed into your bloodstream. Right. We don't really pay attention to that. So it was a personal thing. Essentially Yours was birthed out of personal things that happened to me along the way.
Okay. And a lot of people don't realize is that our skin is our largest organ. Our largest organ, and it is an organ. And so we have to be mindful of what we're putting on it. Yes. Now. And so I know if any of us were to run, or if we have the regular store brand deodorants, if we were to run and get that bottle of it right now and start looking at the ingredients, we would see these ingredients on the bottle of our deodorant. And so one of the number one ingredients of deodorant is aluminum. And so aluminum is connected to breast cancer, prostate cancer, and Alzheimer. Using that in your deodorant. And then the second most listed ingredient would be the parabens. And parabens, they disrupt a hormone balance, and they can cause early puberty. And so we're wondering why children are going into puberty so early. It's a result of the parabens. And it also increases the risk of hormonal cancers, and it's linked to birth defects. So we're putting this under our arms. It's being absorbed into our sweat glands and our lymphatic system and into our bodies, and it's very dangerous. And then there's propylene glycol. This damages the nervous system, the liver, and the heart. And we wonder why people have so many health issues. What we're putting on our bodies. And then there's, I want to say, phthalates. And this is linked to birth defects, and it can also disrupt the hormone receptors and can increase cell mutations, again, causing different types of cancers as well. And then lastly, there's triclosan, which is a pesticide. And the FDA has classified it as a probable carcinogen. And so we're putting these things on our body that cause cancer and birth defects and interrupt our hormone balance, and wonder why we have so many health issues. And it's very important that a lot of people, they use antiperspirant or deodorant, not realizing that when we're stopping ourselves from perspiring, we're clogging up our pores and our sweat glands. And it's like tear ducts. If God didn't want us to use them, he wouldn't have gave them to us. And so it's okay to sweat. Deodorant is good, is in a sense, it's good to have, but the antiperspirant, you want to be able to sweat. But again, natural is the best way to go if you can. And so sometimes you'll notice that in some cultures, they don't wear store deodorants, and some people get offended by that, but they're the smart ones. And so here we are using the store-bought, and we're developing these health issues. And so what do you think about these chemical compounds that are found in our store-bought deodorants?
I think it's to me, when I researched it, it just shocked me. It was amazing that our government or the FDA or whomever approved this would allow us to put something that's so toxic on our body that they know is going to be absorbed into our bloodstream. And it's so funny because I tell a lot of my customers, have you ever seen anybody like walk around, they have a white shirt on and it's like yellow up under, and they think it's their sweat? And I'm telling them, that's not your sweat, that's the chemicals that are coming out from your deodorant. You know, if you sweat, your sweat might have a smell, but and I tell people, it's not your sweat that smells, it's the bacteria on your skin mixed with your sweat that makes it smell. And it's also a good thing, because if you don't clog that up, then sweating is what releases toxins out of the body. I tell people, when you exercise, what you want to do, you want to sweat. Right. Because God has made our sweat, he made us so perfectly, but we began to do things to stop things from happening because, oh no, I don't want to smell, or I don't want to, like you said, different cultures, they don't wear the deodorant. We think they're not the smart ones, but sometimes you have to step back and think, what have we been culturally taught for so long?
Right.
That everything that we do is good for us, but it's not true. Because we don't take the time to pick up something and look and see what certain things are. Until I started researching this, I didn't really understand what the paraben or carcinogen. When they say paraben or carcinogen free, I just like it because it smells good. Not knowing that it's going to physically hurt you health wise down the road. So
what a lot of people don't realize. I'm sorry, were you finished?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, a lot of people don't realize, and like I said, that these chemical compounds that are used in the making of deodorant are FDA approved. What we have to realize is that the Food and Drug Administration are one entity, which actually it should be two, because we use products and we eat foods that make us sick. And so then we have to utilize the drugs that are all governed by the same entity. And so it's a vicious cycle. I talk about it all the time, that we are just in this cyclone for our health. We're eating foods and we're using products that cause us to get sick. So we have to take the drugs that the same entity are over. And so it's about money. I hate to say it. It's all about money.
It's true.
Yeah. And that's why we have to do research like you did and come up with our own informed decisions. We have to be our own advocates. I say this all the time. Nobody else is going to advocate for us. We have to be our own advocates. I'm sorry, let me add some more people in too. And so we do have to be our own advocates. And that leads me to our next question, because I see your passion for this, and I see you helping people and telling them how to use the products. And so it's very important, and really, this is one of the reasons why we're having you on today. But who are your products geared toward?
Well, the majority of my products, I try to do things that are geared toward a wide range of, especially ages, because even going back to the deodorant, one of my customers was telling me, my son is smelling, so I'm going to go buy deodorant and put him on deodorant. So I had to tell her, you don't want to start him with deodorant so young because of all of the chemicals and things that are in it. So my products are geared toward anybody from as young as, I had a customer who her grandbaby was 2. The baby had warts. So she didn't want to put any harsh chemicals. They were burnt. You know how they do with the warts, they freeze the warts. They were doing all that stuff with the baby. And so I told her, use my head to toe scrub, and then put the anti-oil on it. And then I have customers that range from, in their, Pops is 85. I use it on my father-in-law, and I use it no more. My product is made for every age. And if there's something that I can do to help someone naturally, I tell people he made everything natural, and everything that's going on with our bodies, he made something for it. We just have to sit down and research it, and not be so quick to pump modern medicine into our bodies. Because me working in a pharmacy, I said drug reps would come in and out of our pharmacy at least 4 times a week. And that's because the hospital mandated that only 4 drug reps can come in. And a lot of times, we think we take a pill for something, but there's 15 other side effects that are going to come along. Your pressure's going to come down, but your eyelashes are going to fall out. You're not going to have no nose. Your hair going to fall out in the back. You're not going to have no babies. So it's so many things that are connected to the drugs that we take. We don't think about what happens to us in the long term. Kidney failure, heart failure, heart disease. Is so many things. So I'm always trying to look for different things to help in a natural way for every age. Right. Because we all need something at every stage of our lives.
And that's awesome that they are geared toward most ages, because again, like you said, everything that we need, God created, and that's why I call it God's pharmacy. There's a natural solution for every chemical compound. There's a natural solution that doesn't alter or cause side effects. And so that's good that, from clients 2 on up, they can use the products. I know that a 2-year-old doesn't need the natural deodorant, but going back to children that are going through pre-puberty and puberty, and how they start to develop what we call the little must. If you walk in the house, you smell like a wet dog, or they tell you, oh, you musty, or something like that. When little kids are outside playing. Do kids play outside anymore? I'm just asking, but anyway.
Not like we did.
Right. But my mother was the kind of mother, she'd make you get in there and with some baking soda, put some baking soda under your arm, That was something that our parents did back in the day, but now we want to take the fast, quick solution, not realizing the harm that we could be doing to our teens or our young children by putting them on deodorant. And I know some people, they have their children using deodorant as young as 6 and 7 years old.
5. I heard 5.
Wow, 5. Yeah, that's young. And so can you imagine from the age of 5 all the way until, late or 85 years old, and they're using these chemical compounds in their body and constantly putting it on and never ever detoxing from it or getting that out of the system. Like I said, it can cause liver damage and heart damage again, because our bodies are absorbing these things. And so I know we touched a little bit on why you do the natural deodorant, but of the other products that you do, what has made you focus on your natural products?
Like I said, most of my natural products have came from personal experiences. And like I was thinking about when I said one of my customers about her granddaughter, I made my all natural hand sanitizer for my grandbaby. She had to be about 9 months, because kids are just naturally, I call them naturally germy, and they don't know. They wipe their hands on their, they like knock everywhere. And you cannot let a young child put regular hand sanitizer on, because they'll get alcohol poisoning. If they lick their hands. And it happened to one child, I think right before I did my sanitizer, I heard on the news, a baby gets alcohol poisoning from using hand sanitizer. So that made me do a natural version of the hand sanitizer. And my grandbaby's been using it for 9 months. It's been in her diaper bag ever since I made it, and in her little backpack when she goes. So I'm always looking for things that can naturally help you in the same way that we have been programmed to think that everything has to be a chemical compound in order for it to help us. So even ibuprofen, Tylenol, you take too many pain medications, you mess up the lining of your stomach, you mess up your esophagus, you can mess up so many things with taking modern medicine. So that's why I end up making my ache no more. You've tried it before, the
I
blackout
love it.
pain. So and I just have a line of products. I'm always thinking of something that I can naturally do to help people in a way that they think, that we have been so programmed that, oh no, I have a pain in my side, let me go get Motrin. When you could take that ache no more if you haven't on your back, on your shoulder. you know I had a cabinet fall on my shoulder, so I use that almost every night to help me
Okay.
sleep, to help me rest. I tell people I don't only sell the products, I don't only make the products, but I use the products. I mean, and I thank God that He has blessed me in order to have, so many products. I'm kind of amazed. I'm like, okay, you have to start writing some of this stuff down of what you make with this and what you make with that, because I be sitting there like, Lord, help me. So I have to begin to write things down because I have so many different products that God has inspired me to make and to be a blessing to His people.
Right, that's awesome. I want to go back to the deodorant, and I know you were talking about how when people are transitioning from the store brand deodorants to the natural deodorant, that they need to detox
Mhm.
before that. Talk about the detoxing process and how long does it take to detox, and what do you have to do?
Okay, when I first stopped using the regular deodorant, me and my son, and when we stopped using it, we were burning. Our underarms were really burning because now you stop using the chemical, and these chemicals are starting to come out of your sweat glands and your lymphatic system. Up under your arms. So you begin to burn and rash up under your arms. So that's when I started looking at ways of how can you detox. So I recommend, I do have a detox spray, and I recommend that you detox at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks, so your lymphatic and sweat glands can begin to be unclogged. So all of
Okay.
that stuff can begin to draw out of your system up under your arms. And one thing that a lot of people, when they first do it the first week, they drop off because they're like, I'm sweaty, I'm musty. Okay, all of these chemicals that you have put in your body since the age you were, if you started using it at 12 and you 40, or let's say 10 and you 40, you done use that for over 30 years of you putting on, and some people pack on deodorant
Right. Never
and
detoxing.
never detox. So you don't think where these chemicals are getting held up in your sweat glands, in your lymphatic system. And when you begin to detox, all of those things begin to draw out of your system. And yeah, you're gonna smell because you have aluminum. Think about aluminum. Aluminum is something you cover your food with,
Right.
but
But
you're putting it in your body.
right. And now's the perfect time while we're on quarantine. Now's the perfect time to start that detox.
Detox, right?
So you might as well do it while you're at home. Let's detox. Then you're ready when you go back to work.
Detox.
Detox, and you're all cleaned out. And now you're ready to go. I recommend that for anybody. Now's the time to detox. Let the sweat come on out.
Come on out.
Don't put any deodorant on, and just get it all those toxins out of your system
Out
now.
of your system. Mhm. And it's going to be beneficial for you because if you really think about it, when I was going to school, one thing that my teacher said, she was like, why do you think the FDA is connected? What does food have to do with drugs? And like you said earlier, they put things in our food and they create drugs to counter the side effects of them. But if you think about it, another question she posed is, why do men get breast cancer when they don't have breast tissue?
Mhm.
And I was like, men get breast cancer. I was very young at that time and was unaware, but
Right.
it has to be something that we're all doing that links what we're doing together for a man to get breast cancer.
Right.
It makes sense. The only thing that we're doing the same is we're putting on deodorant. So we have to be mindful of what we're doing and know that in the long run, it's going to affect us, even though we're unaware. But when you make yourself aware of something, that's when it's time to begin to make changes. Because
Right.
that saying, what I don't know won't hurt me is a lie.
Mhm. Right.
It will hurt you.
It does. And I know that I was saying that about 276,000 new cases of breast cancer will be diagnosed this year. And a lot of people don't realize when they go and they get their mammograms that they should try to request an ultrasound instead of a mammogram. Because what happens is, because of the process of doing a mammogram, it compresses, depresses the breast tissue, and if there's any cancerous cells there, it causes them to rupture and to spread. And so the best thing to do would be a breast ultrasound instead of a mammogram. It's good to ask the doctor for an ultrasound instead of a mammogram. And so just a little sidebar there for people to be aware of that. You can request it. You can, put your hesitations out there and have that conversation with your doctor and let them know what you're talking about. And doctors, they like that when you know what you're talking about, and that you can challenge them, and they want to help you when you can challenge them and not just go with the same old thing. Now, I know I asked you about the products. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the different types of your natural deodorants that you have? Or is there one type only, or how does that work?
Well, I kind of tweaked it a little bit. I only had one natural deodorant, and it comes with like the essential oils like lavender and tea tree oil, because that's very antiviral, antibacterial, antimicrobial. But then what I did was I added another component to it, which is charcoal, because charcoal is really good for help keeping you dry up under your arms. Mm-hmm. So I have some clients that like the regular one because they're like, this is what I'm used to. But then when they purchase the regular one, I let them try the one with the charcoal, and they come back and say, I like the charcoal one better because it helps keep them dry. So there are two kinds, but I'm trying to transition to make my customers who are used to just the regular deodorant at least try the charcoal to see if it helps keeps them drier over time. Mm-hmm. So, and you remember the Tussie deodorant like back in the day? Mine kind of comes in the jar, so it's like with that little Tussie look a little bit. Some people don't know what Tussie is. We're so used to, the convenience of screwing it on and putting it up under our arms. But because it's natural, I don't like to you can put beeswax and things of that to make it a little bit harder. But to me, the more natural, the more less things that you can put, the better. So I tried to do it in thick a little bit, but it kind of melts a little bit. So my customers are like, let's go back to the, to the jar, So you can get it with the charcoal, you can get it without the charcoal. But I promise you that the charcoal helps keep you better. Keeps you drier better. Because I even tried it. Before I tell anybody, I'm my own guinea pig. Because
no animal testing.
Yes.
Right.
Because I want to make sure that, I'm not going to give you something that I'm not going to use. I don't want to just make something just so you can buy it and I can make money. That's not what this is about. It's about knowing that there's an alternative to what we've been conditioned to know, and think that there's only one way that we can do things on a medical point of view. Or just, I'm going to go, my baby needs deodorant, I'm going to go pick up, 50 Shores or Dove. Dove is nice and soft, but Dove has the same chemicals in it as Sure as the dollar store. You're paying $5 for Dove, but you're just giving them $4 more for more chemical, for more chemicals. Right. Same thing, so just want to make people aware of the health challenges that come along with wearing deodorant, with taking medications. And I'm not advocating anybody to stop taking their medication. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you're in pain, you don't always have to turn to, ibuprofen or Tylenol or, naproxen and all these different over-the-counter medications, because even though they say they're not habit forming, I know people who can't go throughout a day without taking a naproxen or ibuprofen. Mm-hmm. So we just want to be mindful, and I want to make people aware that there are natural alternatives to the small things that happen in our lives, that we don't have to turn to drugs. And when I say drugs, over-the-counter drugs, or not making ourselves aware of, okay, I've been using deodorant for 30 years. Now I have this lump in my breast. What is this lump?
And a lot of people don't even realize that sometimes you get those lumps under your arm. Those are clogged pores. And
Yeah.
that's as a result of the buildup of deodorant and the chemicals that are in the deodorants. Now, how long have you been making your natural products?
I've been actually doing Essentially Yours for about 3 years. I've been doing it full time for about a year, since 2018, because I was working, and I would make my products on the side as people would request it, but now I'm kind of full time in it. So I'm going into my third year, making, and probably a little bit longer. It's just, I started off making like the anointed oil, and then God blessed me to start doing it with the deodorant, and then we went to the scrub, and then so he's just added one product over one product to where now I have like over 12 products.
Well,
And
nice.
the Lord brings me things, or people might say, do you have something for this? And I'm like, let me research it and let me see what I can do. And then I'll give them a sample. I'll try a sample, or look at people who are customers of Essentially Yours or family members to see, sample this and tell me, how does it work? Because if it works good, then it's, I'm not going to sell somebody something that hasn't been shown to work or be beneficial for someone.
Right. So the research is done on each product before it's put out there on the market, and that's excellent. And again, like I was teasing, I said, and no animal testing. We only do human testing here.
Only human.
Right. Now, I know you have an online store, and so why don't you tell us about your website, your online store?
We're on the website. I actually just added, I believe, the deodorant on my website. It's at essentiallyyours.bigcartel.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I started the website because I have some people, like my youngest son, Kevin. When he was in Washington at Howard, I would send him all of my products, and his house was a house that everybody came to. So they would use my products. They would use the anti-oil and the Ache No More and the hand sanitizer. They would use a lot of the products because I would make sure that when I went out there to visit, or he came, I would stock him up on it. And so he had it in his bathroom. So a lot of his friends from college were saying, well, now that he's home, like, will your mom send us some products? So that's what made me kind of start my website. Okay. That made me kind of start Essentially Yours, the website, so I can begin to mail, the products to whomever needed it. So over time, it's just like, as I get a new product and we test it and we try it, then I add it to my website to make sure, like I said, that it's going to be beneficial for those who uses it daily. Because my product, there's something that I use daily, because if you can use, I used to use, Clean and Clear every day. And I'm one of those, I'm very sensitive. Once I switch to go to something else, my face break out, and, so I wanted to make sure that my daily regimen of taking care of my face, taking care, of my deodorant or paint or whatever I'm going through, even hand sanitizer, because sometimes we so frequently use things that you want to make sure that what you're using is not going to cause problems in the long run.
Right.
So that was one of the reasons why I started my website, so I can make sure if somebody wanted to order it, you can go online, order it, and I can ship it to you.
Right. Going back to that hand sanitizer, I remember a news story that came out about a whole kindergarten class that was drunk, and they couldn't figure out why. And it's because they were all licking the hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all licking the hand sanitizers. They were all. So it's alcohol. Tashi's like, yes, alcohol. But why don't you go ahead and spell out your website? I'm also gonna post it up on the finalization of this video. I'll put your website up on it. But I know you said this is essentiallyyours.cartel. Okay, go ahead and spell that out for us.
Okay, I'm gonna grab my card.
Okay.
There, so I don't know if you can see it, but it's Essentially Yours, spelled ESCENTUALLY, and then YOURS BIGCARTEL.com. So I don't know if you can see my...
Hey, April. Hi.
Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Can you type that in the chat box below?
Okay, let me
If not, I'll put it in there. You want me to do it? Oh, you got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
You just unmute. You unmute if you have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. My sister's asking me a question. I'm sorry.
Essentially yours, Big Cartel.
Yeah, essentially yours. Dot.
Mm-hmm.
Big Cartel. BIGCARTEL.com. And essentially it's spelled ESPENTUALLY.
Okay.
And then yours. And then the dot bigcartel.com.
Got it. You can also take a look and make sure it's right in the chat. And we'll get that out there. We'll make sure we have that up on when this final recording goes up as well. And so, you shared some great information today. I don't know if anyone has any questions about the products, but Liz sharing a little insight other than what we've been hearing about over and over.
Yes, over and over.
Yes. And we're gonna come back and we'll do another one again. The hand sanitizer is great as well. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize is they're using the store-bought hand sanitizer, that after 3 uses, you need to wash your hands and start all over again. Sometimes people go all day using the same, piling it on top of it, and then it becomes ineffective. So after 3 uses, you need to wash your hands, scrub them with the technique of singing happy birthday or Jesus loves me twice, and the water as hot as you can tolerate, and then start over with the hand sanitizer. Do you recommend that people do that the same way with your product as well, with the hand sanitizer?
Definitely. With this virus going around, we want to, make sure that, we wash our hands with soap. And then you want to disinfect. So you want to wash and then you want to disinfect. Now, I know a lot of times we're out and about, and I told my mom, I said, I thought I was a little germy, but now this whole situation has turned me into a germophobic. Well, I'm spraying everything.
Right.
Or spraying my hands, and it's got gloves everywhere. So you definitely want to make sure that if you can get your hands in some soap and water and then disinfect. But if you're out and about, use the spray, disinfect your hands, spray it on a paper towel or before you open up your door. We just want to make sure that we're not, that we're not spreading it, but that we need to be
not exposing
of touching things and then touching yourself. So
it's a lot. We don't even realize how much we do that until now. We're just now realizing, wait, oh my God, I touched my face 20 times already, and we come into that realization with everything going on. So we're definitely going to share some more information. And again, now is the perfect time to detox from regular deodorant into natural deodorant, because, hey, we have lighter schedules right now with everything that's going on. So contact April at Essentially Yours right away so you can detox before you have to go back to a full work schedule. And April, we thank you for coming on and being our guest today and discussing natural deodorant. And if we get any more questions, we'll definitely let you know. And we're going to put up your contact information for your website and any other contact information that you want us to share. And people can also follow you on Facebook.
Yes, at Essentially Yours. At Essentially Yours. All natural skincare products on Facebook or on Instagram, Essentially Yours. And I thank you for having me on, because this is an important topic. We need to know more. We need to discuss it more. We need to put it out there more. It's very important, very vital. So I thank you for touching this subject, because we're wondering what's going on and we're not making the connection. So thank you for that.
Awesome. We got a thumbs up from Tarina. Thank you for checking in with us today. And Nicole, thank you. And Tashi, thank you. And again, we're going to get this information out. And thank you again, April. And you guys have a wonderful rest of the day.
You too.
You do the
All
same.
right. Bye-bye.
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 I don't know how to work it.